Sent to die, he tamed the beast. Their wonder was epic. The courtroom was cold. Quan Ho stood in the center of the massive chamber, his hands locked in metal restraints. Above him, 5 alien judges sat on floating platforms. Their faces showed no emotion. Around the circular room, hundreds of beings from different worlds watched through holographic screens. Everyone wanted to see the human who had killed 17 people. Quan Ho knew the truth. He had not killed anyone, but truth did not matter here. The lead judge was a Vrexian named Ryloth. His skin was gray and rough like stone. 4 eyes blinked at different times as he read the charges. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. Quan Ho of Earth, you stand accused of sabotage. The trading vessel Celestial Dawn exploded due to your actions. 17 souls died. How do you answer? Not guilty, Quan Ho said. His voice was steady, but his heart pounded in his chest. Ryloth's mouth twisted into something like a smile. The evidence says otherwise. Your digital signature was found on the system that failed. Your access codes were used. You were the last person in the engine room. Quan Ho wanted to scream. Yes, his codes were used, but someone had stolen them. Commander Tholis, a corrupt official who wanted to hide his smuggling operation. Tholis had planted evidence and erased his own tracks. Quan Ho had tried to explain this for months. No one listened. I was framed, Quan Ho said. Commander Tholis, enough! Ryloth raised one clawed hand. We have heard your claims. Commander Tholis is a decorated officer. You are a human engineer with gambling debts. Who should we believe? The gambling debts were real. Quan Ho had made mistakes after his parents died. He owed money to the wrong people. But he would never kill innocent people. Never. In the back of the courtroom, Captain Yuna watched silently. She was the only other human present. Her face was carefully blank, but Quan Ho saw something in her eyes. Sympathy, maybe, or pity. The sentence is death, Ryloth announced. You will be executed at dawn. Quan Ho closed his eyes. He thought of his sister, He-Jin. She was back on Earth working in a research lab. She believed in him. She had spent all her savings trying to hire lawyers. It had not been enough. However, Ryloth continued, and Quan Ho's eyes snapped open. The coalition offers an alternative. Murmurs spread through the courtroom. Ryloth seemed to enjoy the attention. He leaned forward on his platform. There is a world called Karos Prime. It is rich in Vespene crystals. These crystals power our warships and space stations. They are worth billions of credits. But the planet is dangerous. Very dangerous. Quan Ho had heard of Karos Prime. Every spacer had. It was called the Death World. Volcanic, toxic air, extreme temperatures, and something else. Something that killed everyone who went there. For 40 years, we have sent expeditions to Karos Prime, Ryloth said. Warriors, hunters, criminals. Over 200 beings have tried to retrieve the crystals. All have died. The planet is home to a creature we call the Skorath. It is the apex predator. Unstoppable, unkillable. Ryloth's 4 eyes fixed on Quan Ho. Retrieve 5 Vespene crystals from the caverns of Karos Prime, and you will be pardoned. You will be free. Your name will be cleared. The courtroom erupted. Some aliens laughed. Others shook their heads. Everyone knew this was not mercy. This was a cruel joke, a slow execution. But Quan Ho saw something else. A chance, even if it was a small chance. Even if it was almost no chance at all. I accept, he said. Ryloth looked surprised for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a harsh, grinding sound. Excellent. How entertaining. The human accepts certain death. We will broadcast your demise across the coalition networks. Perhaps it will be educational. 2 guards grabbed Quan Ho's arms and pulled him toward the exit. As he passed Captain Yuna, she stepped forward. Ambassador Ryloth, she said. Permission to provide standard expedition supplies to the prisoner. Ryloth waved a dismissive hand. If you wish to waste resources on a dead man, that is your concern. In a small preparation room, Captain Yuna helped Quan Ho check his equipment. An environmental suit patched and old, 2 weeks of ration bars, a plasma cutter for mining, a small medical kit, a data pad with a map of Karos Prime, and an emergency beacon, single-use only. This is not enough, Yuna said quietly. This is not nearly enough. It is more than nothing, Quan Ho replied. He was checking the suit's seals. 2 of them were weak. He would need to be careful. Yuna watched him work. Why did you accept? You could have had a quick death, painless. This will be terrible. Quan Ho looked at her. My sister believes I'm innocent. I need to try. I need to survive and prove the truth. The truth does not matter to them, Yuna said bitterly. I know you are innocent. I have known from the beginning, but I am one captain. I have no power here. This surprised Kwanho. You believe me? I have reviewed the evidence carefully. The digital trail is too perfect, too clean. Someone with high-level access created it. Yuna lowered her voice. I believe Commander Tholis did exactly what you said, but he is protected by powerful friends. I cannot prove it. Not yet. Then help my sister, Kwanho said. If I die, she will keep searching for the truth.
Give her whatever information you can, Yuna nodded.
I will, I promise. She hesitated. The Skorath. All the reports say it is massive. Incredibly strong. Its scales deflect energy weapons. It can sense heat and movement from miles away. Every expedition we have sent was prepared. They had military-grade weapons, combat armor, tactical training. They all died within days. What do the reports say about its behavior? Kwanho asked. Yuna looked confused. Its behavior? Is it aggressive immediately? Does it hunt? Does it guard territory? I am not sure. The reports are written by warriors. They focus on how to kill it. Yuna pulled up files on her datapad. Most encounters happen near the crystal caverns. The Skorath seems to protect that area. Attacks are brutal and quick. Kwanho nodded slowly. He was thinking like an engineer, not a warrior. If the creature guarded territory, there was a reason. If it attacked intruders, it had a purpose. Maybe fighting is the wrong approach, he said. Yuna stared at him. What other approach is there? Kwanho did not answer. He did not have an answer yet. But he knew one thing. Doing what everyone else had done would lead to the same result. Death. The transport ship was small and automated. It would take 3 days to reach Karos Prime. Kwanho spent the time studying everything he could about the planet. The volcanic activity, the atmosphere composition, the crystal formations, and the Skorath. There were images captured by drones. The creature was terrifying. 30 feet tall, 6 powerful legs, 2 massive arms ending in claws that could tear through metal. Its body was covered in black scales that looked like volcanic glass. Strange glowing patterns marked its skin, pulsing with blue and green light. But Kwanho looked past the terror. He studied how the creature moved, the way it positioned itself in the images. There was intelligence in its eyes. This was not a mindless beast. On the 3rd day, the ship entered Karos Prime's orbit. Through the viewport, Kwanho could see the planet's surface. Red and black, rivers of lava cutting through mountain ranges, volcanic eruptions sending ash into the toxic sky. Preparing for drop, the ship's computer announced. Estimated survival time 48 hours. Kwanho sealed his helmet. He checked the plasma cutter one more time. He thought of He-Jin receiving the news of his death. He could not let that happen. The drop pod launched. Fire surrounded the pod as it entered the atmosphere. The heat was intense even through the shielding. Kwanho gripped the harness as the pod shook violently. Impact. The pod crashed into rocky ground and skidded to a halt. Alarms blared. The door blew open with explosive bolts. Kwanho stepped out onto Karos Prime. The ground was hot beneath his boots. In the distance, a volcano erupted, sending molten rock into the sky. The air shimmered with heat. He activated his datapad. The crystal caverns were 60 kilometers to the north, 60 kilometers across hell. Kwanho shouldered his pack and began walking. Above him, invisible cameras tracked his every move. Across the galaxy, millions of beings watched the human begin his final journey. They were already planning his memorial service. Sent to die, he tamed the beast, and their wonder was epic. The first day was brutal. Kwanho walked across fields of sharp volcanic rock. The ground was hot enough to damage his boots. His suit's cooling system struggled against the extreme heat. Every hour he had to stop and rest in the shadow of rock formations. The datapad showed his route, but the terrain was treacherous. Deep cracks in the ground released toxic gases. Rivers of slow-moving lava blocked direct paths. Kwanho had to climb over ridges and carefully navigate around dangerous areas. By nightfall, the temperature dropped. Kwanho found a small cave and made camp. The cold came fast and harsh. His suit's heating system was barely adequate. He ate 1 ration bar and drank carefully from his water supply. Everything had to last. Sleep was difficult. Strange sounds echoed across the landscape. Distant roars. The rumble of earthquakes, the hiss of steam vents. Quan Ho kept his plasma cutter close. On the second day, he found the first bodies. 3 Krillian warriors, their blue exoskeletons melted and torn. The Krillians were known across the galaxy as fierce fighters. These 3 had died together, their weapons still in their hands. Whatever killed them had been fast. Quan Ho studied the scene carefully. Large claw marks scarred the rocks. The marks were deep, carved into solid stone. He measured them with his hand. Each claw was longer than his forearm. He moved on. Throughout the day, he found more remains. A Thoraxian's crushed armor, a Vrexian's shattered energy rifle, scattered equipment from dozens of failed expeditions. The message was clear. Nothing survived here. The third day brought a massive sandstorm. The toxic wind was so strong that Quan Ho had to wedge himself between rocks to avoid being blown away. Sand scraped against his helmet. Visibility dropped to 0. He waited for 6 hours until the storm passed. When he emerged, his suit was scratched and damaged. One of the weak seals had started to leak. Quan Ho used tape from his medical kit to patch it. The repair would not last long. On the 4th day, he reached a field of bones. Hundreds of skeletons from different species. Some were ancient, the bones turned to stone. Others were recent. This was a killing ground. The Scorath brought its prey here. Quan Ho felt fear settle deep in his stomach. He was walking into the territory of a perfect predator. Every expedition before him had been trained fighters with advanced weapons. They had all died. He was just an engineer with a mining tool, but he kept walking. What choice did he have? The 5th day brought him to the edge of the crystal caverns. The entrance was a massive opening in a mountainside. Strange light glowed from within. Blues and greens pulsed in the darkness. This was it, the source of the Vespine crystals. Quan Ho checked his supplies. 5 days of rations left. Water was running low. His suit was barely holding together. The plasma cutter's battery was at 70%. He had one shot with the emergency beacon. He entered the caverns. Inside, the temperature was more stable. The walls were lined with crystal formations. They grew in strange patterns, reaching up toward the ceiling like frozen trees. The glow came from within the crystals themselves. It was beautiful and eerie. Quan Ho moved carefully. The floor was uneven. Small pools of water dotted the cavern floor. Some of them steamed. Others were perfectly still and clear. He found a suitable crystal formation and began working. The plasma cutter hummed to life. Its blade was hot enough to cut through the crystal cleanly. Quan Ho worked with precision, following the natural lines in the formation. This was familiar work. He had trained as an engineer. Cutting and shaping materials was something he understood. The first crystal came free. It was the size of his forearm, clear as glass but glowing with internal light. Beautiful. Worth more than he could earn in 10 years. He wrapped it carefully and placed it in his pack. He had just started on the second crystal when the ground shook. At first, Quan Ho thought it was an earthquake. Kairos Prime had them constantly. But this was different, rhythmic, heavy, getting closer. Footsteps. Quan Ho turned off the plasma cutter. The sudden silence was terrifying. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. The footsteps continued, boom, boom, boom. Then it appeared. The Scorath emerged from a tunnel at the far end of the cavern. Every image Quan Ho had seen had not prepared him for the reality. The creature was massive. Its head nearly touched the cavern ceiling 30 feet above. 6 legs, each thick as tree trunks, moved with surprising grace. 2 enormous arms hung at its sides, ending in claws that glinted in the crystal light. Its scales were black but not completely dark. They caught the light like volcanic glass, reflecting blues and purples. The bioluminescent patterns on its body pulsed slowly. The glow moved across its skin like waves. The creature's head was angular, almost reptilian. 4 eyes, 2 on each side, reflected the light like mirrors. Its mouth was closed, but Quan Ho could see the edge of teeth. Large teeth. The Scorath looked directly at him. Those 4 eyes fixed on the small human standing in its territory. Quan Ho's body wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at him to flee. His legs trembled. His hands shook. But he forced himself to stand still. Running would trigger a chase response. Running meant death. The creature took a step forward. The ground shook. It lowered its head, examining him more closely. One of its massive clawed hands reached out slowly. Quan Ho could see the end right there. One swipe and he would be dead. Just like all the others, but then he noticed something. The creature was moving strangely. Its left rear leg did not put full weight on the ground. When it shifted, there was a slight hesitation in its movement. It was injured. Quan Ho's engineer mind kicked in, pushing past the fear. He looked more carefully. There, on the creature's lower left side, something was embedded in its body, a piece of metal, large and jagged. It looked like part of a ship's hull. The metal was old and rusted. The flesh around it was discolored, infected. This wound had been there for a long time. Years, maybe. The Scoreth was in pain. Constant, terrible pain. Quan Ho made a decision that surprised even himself. He slowly raised his hands, palms out, the universal gesture for peace. His voice shook as he spoke. "I can help you." The creature tilted its head. The movement was curious. It clearly did not understand the words, but it recognized the tone. Calm. Gentle. No aggression. Quan Ho pointed at the embedded metal. Then he pointed at his plasma cutter. Then he made a cutting motion with his hand. The Scorath's eyes followed his movements. There was intelligence there. Real thinking intelligence. This was not a mindless beast. This was a person trapped in pain. The creature made a sound. It was not a roar. It was lower, rumbling, almost like a question. Quan Ho took a small step forward. His entire body screamed at him to stop. The Scorath could kill him instantly. One movement and everything would end. But the creature did not attack. It watched Quan Ho took another step. Then another. He moved slowly, keeping his hands visible. He was speaking quietly, keeping his voice steady. It did not matter what words he said. The tone was what mattered. Calm, non-threatening. He reached the creature's side. Up close, it was even more massive. The embedded metal was larger than he had thought. A piece of hull plating driven deep into the tissue. Old dried blood and infection surrounded it. The smell was terrible even through his suit's filters. Quan Ho looked up at the Scorath. "This is going to hurt. I'm sorry." The creature's eyes met his. For a long moment, they just looked at each other, human and alien, prey and predator. Then the Scorath did something incredible. It slowly lowered itself to the ground. It shifted its position, exposing the wound more clearly. It was giving permission. Quan Ho felt tears in his eyes. This creature, this being that everyone called a mindless killer, was trusting him. He picked up the plasma cutter. His hands were steady now. The fear was still there, but purpose was stronger. "Okay," he said quietly. "Let us fix this." The Scorath's bioluminescent patterns pulsed brighter. The cavern filled with blue and green light. And across the galaxy, millions of beings watching through the cameras could not believe what they were seeing. The human was not running. The human was not fighting. The human was trying to heal the monster. Sent to die, he tamed the beast. Their wonder was Epic Quan Ho had performed many repairs in his life. Broken engines, damaged hull sections, complex machinery. But he had never done surgery on a living being, especially not a 30-foot-tall alien predator. He examined the wound carefully. The metal was embedded at least 8 inches deep. The surrounding tissue was swollen and discolored. Green pus oozed from the edges. The infection was serious. If this were a human, they would already be dead from sepsis. "I need to clean around it first," Quan Ho said, speaking more to calm himself than to communicate. The Scorath's eyes watched him. The creature's breath was slow and steady, but Quan Ho could see tension in its body. It knew pain was coming. Quan Ho opened his medical kit. Inside were basic supplies. Antiseptic spray, bandages, pain medication for humans, which would be useless here. Surgical glue. Not much, but it would have to work. He sprayed antiseptic around the wound. The Scorath's muscles tensed, but it did not move. Quan Ho used cloth from his spare shirt to clean away the worst of the infection. The smell was horrible. His stomach turned, but he forced himself to continue. Next came the hard part. The metal had to come out, but it was jagged and embedded deeply. If he just pulled, it might tear the tissue even more. He needed to cut around it first. Quan Ho adjusted the plasma cutter to its lowest setting. The blade glowed dimly. He tested it on a nearby rock. It cut smoothly. "Good. I am going to start now," he said. He placed one hand on the Scorath's side. The scales were warm. He could feel the creature's heartbeat through them. Slow and powerful, like distant thunder, he began to cut. The plasma cutter sliced through the infected tissue. The Scorath's body went rigid. Its claws dug into the stone floor, carving deep grooves. But it did not pull away. It stayed still. Quan Ho worked as quickly as he dared. Sweat poured down his face inside the helmet. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. He cut carefully around the embedded metal, creating space to remove it. The Skorath made sounds, low groans that vibrated through the cavern, not roars. It was holding back, trying not to move, trying not to hurt the small creature helping it. After 20 minutes, Quan Ho had cut enough. Now for the extraction. He gripped the metal plate with both hands. It was hot to the touch. On 3, he said. 1, 2, 3, he pulled. The metal resisted. He pulled harder, bracing his feet against the creature's side. The metal shifted, moved, then suddenly came free. The Skorath's roar shook the entire cavern. Stalactites fell from the ceiling. The crystal formations vibrated, their glow flickering. Somewhere in the distance, an avalanche began. Blood poured from the wound, dark purple blood, thick and hot. Quan Ho dropped the metal plate and pressed cloth against the opening. He needed to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, he said urgently. Please stay with me. The Skorath's breathing was rapid now. Its bioluminescent patterns flickered erratically. But those intelligent eyes stayed focused on Quan Ho. There was pain in them. Terrible pain. But also something else. Trust. Quan Ho held pressure on the wound for 10 minutes. Slowly, the bleeding decreased. The Skorath's blood clotted faster than human blood. Another adaptation for survival on this harsh world. Once the bleeding stopped, Quan Ho examined what he had removed. The metal plate had letters stamped on it. Part of a ship designation. VS Talon. He recognized the name. The Vrexian scout ship Talon had been one of the early expeditions to Karos Prime. That was 20 years ago. The Skorath had been carrying this pain for 20 years. Quan Ho felt anger rise in him. Those Vrexian scouts had come here to kill this creature. They had attacked it. The Skorath had only defended itself, and for 20 years it had suffered from that encounter. No wonder you kill everyone who comes here, Quan Ho said softly. I would too. Now he needed to clean and close the wound. He sprayed more antiseptic. The Skorath flinched but held still. Quan Ho used all his surgical glue to seal the worst of the opening. It was not perfect, but it would help. Then he remembered something. During his journey to the caverns, he had seen fungi growing on rocks. His sister Heejin was a xenobiologist. She had written papers about extremophile organisms, fungi that thrived in toxic environments. Some had medicinal properties. Wait here, Quan Ho said. He stood up, his legs shaky from adrenaline. The Skorath watched as the human walked to the edge of the cavern. Quan Ho searched the rocks until he found what he remembered, orange and blue fungi growing in clusters. He harvested several handfuls carefully. Back at the Skorath's side, he crushed the fungi between rocks. They released a thick paste that smelled like minerals and earth. Quan Ho had no idea if this would work, but Heejin had said that many extremophile fungi had antibacterial properties. He spread the paste over the wound. The Skorath went very still. Then its bioluminescent patterns began to pulse more steadily. The paste must have a numbing effect. That is all I can do, Quan Ho said. He sat down heavily, exhausted. His hands were shaking now that the work was done. I hope it helps. The Skorath lifted its massive head. It looked at the wound, then at the small human sitting beside it. Something passed between them in that moment. Understanding, gratitude, connection. The creature moved slowly. Carefully, it curled its body in a protective circle, and in the center of that circle it left space. An invitation, Quan Ho understood. The temperature in the cavern was dropping. Night was coming, and with it the freezing cold. The Skorath was offering warmth, protection. He moved into the space. The creature's body radiated heat like a furnace. Quan Ho leaned against the scales. They were surprisingly smooth, warm, and solid. Thank you, he whispered. The Skorath made a low rumbling sound. Content. Peaceful. For the first time in 20 years, the pain had eased. Quan Ho fell asleep to the rhythm of the creature's breathing, deep and slow, like ocean waves. The next morning he woke to find the Skorath already awake. The wound looked better. The swelling had decreased. The paste had worked. The creature stood, testing its leg. For the first time it put full weight on all 6 legs evenly. It took a few experimental steps. Then it turned to Quan Ho and made a chirping sound. Happy, excited. Quan Ho laughed. The sound surprised him. He had not laughed in months. Yes, it is better, is it not? The Skorath lowered its head and gently bumped Quan Ho with its snout. The gesture was almost playful. Then it turned and walked toward a different tunnel. It looked back, waiting. You want me to follow? Quan Ho asked. The Skorath chirped again. Quan Ho gathered his equipment and followed. The creature led him deeper into the cavern system. They walked for an hour, passing through passages that glowed with crystal light. The Skorath moved confidently, knowing every turn. Finally, they emerged into a vast chamber. Quan Ho stopped, his mouth open in wonder. The chamber was filled with Vespina crystals, thousands of them, growing in massive formations that reached from floor to ceiling. The light was almost blinding. Blues, greens, purples all pulsing together. This is your home, Quan Ho said softly. This is what you protect. The Skorath walked to a crystal formation and carefully broke off a piece with its claw. It brought the crystal to Quan Ho and placed it gently on the ground before him. A gift. The creature was giving him what he came for. Quan Ho felt tears on his face. He had come here expecting to die. He had come prepared to steal what he needed and run. Instead, he had found a friend. He bowed deeply to the Skorath. Thank you. I will only take what I need. I promise. The Skorath's bioluminescent patterns pulsed brightly. It understood. Maybe not the words, but the intention behind them. Over the next 2 days, Quan Ho collected 4 more crystals. The Skorath stayed with him, watching, helping sometimes by breaking off pieces that were too high to reach. They developed a routine. A partnership to Quan Ho cleaned the wound twice a day. He applied fresh fungal paste. The Skorath's body was healing remarkably fast. The infection was gone. New tissue was growing. At night, they slept together in the warm chamber. The Skorath would curl around Quan Ho, protecting him from the cold. During the day, they explored the cavern system together. Quan Ho discovered that the Skorath could communicate through its bioluminescent patterns. Different colors and pulse rates meant different things. Blue was contentment. Green was curiosity. Rapid pulsing was excitement. Slow pulsing was rest. He tried to teach it about himself. He pointed to his chest and said his name. Quan Ho. He repeated it several times. The Skorath made an attempt. The sound that came out was more like a low rumble than a name, but Quan Ho heard his name in it. Close enough. On the 7th day, Quan Ho knew it was time to leave. He had 5 crystals. He had completed the mission. But leaving felt wrong. He had found something here more valuable than crystals. The Skorath seemed to sense his mood. Its patterns dimmed. Sad colors. I have to go back, Quan Ho explained. To clear my name. To help my sister. But I will return. I promise. He did not know if the creature understood. But when he started walking toward the cavern exit, the Skorath followed. They walked together back through the tunnels, back to the entrance where Quan Ho had first arrived. The pickup coordinates were 10 kilometers from there. At the boundary of its territory, the Skorath stopped. It would go no further. Quan Ho turned to face it. He placed one hand on its leg. Thank you for trusting me. For letting me help. Sent to die, he tamed the beast. Their wonder was epic. The Coalition monitoring station orbited Karos Prime like a metal moon. Inside the control room, technicians stared at their screens in disbelief. I am telling you, the signal is still active, one technician said. She was a young Thoraxian named Kess. Her 3 eyes were wide with shock. That is impossible, her supervisor replied. It has been 9 days. The human should be dead. Well, he is not dead. His suit's life support is functioning. His heart rate is elevated but stable. He is alive. The supervisor leaned over the console. The data was clear. Quan Ho's biosigns were strong. More than that, his location was moving. He was walking back toward the pickup coordinates. Get Ambassador Ryloth, now. When Ryloth arrived at the control room, his 4 eyes narrowed at the screens. This must be a malfunction. Check the equipment. We have checked everything 3 times, Kess said. It is not a malfunction. The human is alive and heading to the extraction point. Then send a drone. I want visual confirmation. The drone launched from the station and descended through Karos Prime's atmosphere. Its cameras focused on the coordinates of Quan Ho's signal. The technicians watched the live feed. At first, they saw only the volcanic landscape. Rock and lava. Ash clouds. Then the drone's camera caught movement. A figure in a damaged environmental suit, walking steadily. On his back, a pack that bulged with something large and angular. Zoom in, Ryloth commanded. The camera focused. There was no mistake. It was Quan Ho, alive, walking, and he was not alone. Next to him walked the Skorath, The massive creature moved at the human's pace, matching his steps. Its bioluminescent patterns glowed bright blue. When Quan Ho stumbled on the rough ground, the Skorath's tail moved to steady him. The control room fell silent. 200 beings had tried to kill the Skorath. All had failed. This human had somehow befriended it. Impossible, Ryloth whispered. The drone followed them for the next hour. The footage was transmitted across coalition networks. Within minutes it went viral. Every species, every world, everyone was watching. The human and the monster walking together like old friends. Captain Yuna saw the footage in her quarters. She sat down heavily, tears streaming down her face. He had done it. Quan Ho had survived. More than that, he had achieved the impossible. She immediately sent a message to Earth, to Hyejin. On Earth, Hyejin was working late in her lab when the message arrived. She read it once, twice. Then she started crying and laughing at the same time. Her colleagues thought she had lost her mind. She did not care. Her brother was alive. The footage spread to every corner of the galaxy. News stations interrupted regular programming. Military analysts studied every frame. Xenobiologists called emergency conferences. Humans, who had been seen as weak and emotional by many species, were suddenly viewed differently. What kind of being could tame the unkillable? What kind of mind could see friendship where others saw only death? On the betting stations, odds that had been 1,000,000 to 1 suddenly shifted. People scrambled to change their bets. Fortunes were lost and won. Ambassador Ryloth watched the drone footage with growing concern. If the human survived, he would be pardoned. More than that, he would be a hero. People would listen to him. And if Quan Ho started talking about Commander Thalas and the sabotage, Ryloth made a private call. We need to discuss the human situation. But it was too late. The galaxy was watching. Anything that happened to Quan Ho now would be scrutinized. At the pickup coordinates, a recovery team waited. They had been sent days ago expecting to retrieve a body. Instead, they watched their scanners with growing nervousness as 2 life signs approached. One human-sized. One very, very large. The team leader was a Vrexian captain named Geth. He had 20 soldiers with him, all armed with heavy weapons. They had been told to retrieve crystals from the human's remains. No one had told them what to do if he was alive, and no one had told them what to do about the Skorath. Weapons ready, Geth ordered, but do not fire unless I command it. Sir, that thing has killed hundreds of our people, one soldier protested, and the human is walking next to it like a pet grazer. We do not understand what is happening here, so we wait and we watch. Quan Ho saw the recovery team from half a kilometer away. He saw their weapons pointed in his direction. He stopped walking. The Skorath stopped beside him. Its patterns shifted to red. Warning colors. It moved slightly in front of Quan Ho. Protective. It is okay, Quan Ho said quietly. He placed his hand on the Skorath's leg. They are here to take me home. The creature looked down at him. Its 4 eyes were uncertain. Red patterns flickered with hints of blue. I will come back, Quan Ho promised. I swear to you, I will come back. The Skorath's pattern slowly shifted back to blue, sad blue, but accepting Quan Ho walked forward slowly, hands raised. The Skorath stayed where it was, watching. Captain Geth, Quan Ho called out. I am unarmed. I have 5 Vespene crystals. The mission is complete. Geth stared at the human. The man's suit was badly damaged. His face was visible through the helmet, covered in dirt and exhaustion. But his eyes were clear and determined. How are you alive? Geth asked, long story. Can we talk on the ship? I am very tired. Behind Quan Ho, the Skorath made a low rumbling sound. Every soldier tensed. Weapons tracked the creature. Tell your soldiers to lower their weapons, Quan Ho said firmly. It will not attack unless threatened. That thing is the Skorath. It kills everything, Geth said. Its name is Taeyang. It is intelligent and peaceful unless you try to hurt it. Quan Ho's voice was hard now. Lower your weapons or I am not coming with you. Geth hesitated. He looked at his soldiers. He looked at the massive creature. He looked at the human who had somehow survived 9 days on the death world. Lower weapons, he ordered. Slowly, the soldiers complied. The Skorath's patterns shifted slightly. Still wary but less aggressive, Quan Ho unslung his pack and opened it. 5 perfect Vespene crystals glowed in the volcanic light. Each one was worth billions. I kept my word, Quan Ho said. At that moment, another ship descended from orbit. It bore the markings of Coalition Command. The access ramp lowered and Captain Yuna emerged. She walked straight to Quan Ho and, to everyone's shock, hugged him. It was unprofessional, against protocol. She did not care. "You did it," she said.
Everyone said it was impossible.
"You did it." Quan Ho returned the hug, exhaustion finally hitting him. "Is my pardon official?" "As of 1 hour ago. You are a free man, Quan Ho." Behind them, the Scorath made a happy chirping sound. Its patterns brightened to brilliant blue. Yuna looked past Quan Ho at the massive creature. "You befriended it." "How?" "I helped it. It was injured and in pain. I removed the injury. We became friends." Quan Ho made it sound simple, as if befriending an apex predator was no different than making friends with a neighbor. Yuna shook her head in wonder. "The galaxy is never going to be the same after this." She was right. News of the human success spread faster than light speed. Within hours, Quan Ho's name was known on every world. Artists made paintings of him and the Scorath. Songs were composed. Children played games pretending to be the human who tamed the beast. More importantly, other species began asking questions. If a human could do this, what else were humans capable of? What other problems could they solve with their strange combination of empathy and intelligence? Diplomatic requests flooded Earth's government. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, research partnerships. Humanity's status in the galactic community changed overnight. But on the surface of Karos Prime, none of that mattered. Quan Ho stood before the Scorath one last time. "I will come back," he said. "I promise." The creature lowered its head. Quan Ho pressed his forehead against its scales. They stayed like that for a long moment. Then Quan Ho turned and walked to the ship. Every step felt heavy. He looked back once. The Scorath stood watching, its patterns pulsing with soft blue light. On the ship, Quan Ho was given a private cabin. He removed his damaged suit and showered for the first time in 9 days. He ate real food. He drank clean water. It all felt strange after his time on Karos Prime. Captain Yuna visited him as they traveled back to Coalition Station. "I have news," she said. "Good news and better news. Tell me. Your sister is on her way to the station. She will arrive tomorrow." "That is the good news," Yuna smiled. "The better news is that Commander Tholis has been arrested." Quan Ho sat up straight. "What? Your success made you famous." "Very famous. People wanted to know everything about you. Reporters started investigating your case. They found irregularities in the evidence. A journalist discovered financial records showing payments from smuggling operations to Commander Tholis." Yuna pulled up a screen showing news headlines. Once one thread was pulled, everything unraveled. Tholis tried to run. He was caught at a border station. He confessed everything. Quan Ho felt something release in his chest, a tension he had carried for so long. "It is over." "It is really over." "Yes, your name is cleared. Officially and publicly." Yuna hesitated. "There is something else. The Coalition wants to offer you a contract. Exclusive rights to harvest Vespine crystals from Karos Prime. They are willing to pay you a percentage. You would be wealthy beyond imagination." Quan Ho thought about it, about the Scorath alone in its caverns, about the bond they had formed. "I have conditions," he said. Sent to die, he tamed the beast. Their wonder was epic. 6 months had passed since Quan Ho left Karos Prime. 6 months of interviews, negotiations, and planning. 6 months of missing his friend. The new research station floated in orbit above the Death World. It was small but well-equipped. Living quarters for 20 people, scientific laboratories, observation equipment, and most importantly, strict security to keep unwanted visitors away. Quan Ho stood in the station's main observation deck, looking down at the volcanic surface. Beside him, his sister Hee-Jin adjusted her viewing screen for the 100th time. She was nervous. She was about to meet the creature that had saved her brother's life. "What if it does not remember you?" she asked. Quan Ho smiled. "It will remember." "How can you be sure?" "Because I remember. And we are friends." The shuttle prepared for departure. Quan Ho had handpicked the 3 people joining them for this first visit. Captain Yuna, who had believed in him from the start, Dr. J, a human medical expert who specialized in xenobiology, and Tam, a young Thoraxian technician who had been the first to notice Quan Ho's survival signal. "Everyone ready?" Quan Ho asked, nods all around. Nervous nods. The shuttle descended through the toxic atmosphere. Quan Ho guided them to the landing coordinates he knew well. The cavern entrance, home. As they stepped out onto the volcanic rock, Hyejin gasped. Even through her suit's filters, she could feel the heat. See the harsh beauty of the landscape? You survived 9 days out here, she said quietly. I still cannot believe it. I had help, Kwanho replied. They walked toward the cavern entrance. With each step, Kwanho felt his heart beat faster. Would Taeyang be angry that he had been gone so long? Would their bond still exist? At the cavern entrance, they stopped. Kwanho activated a small device he had brought. It emitted a specific sound frequency, one he and Taeyang had developed together during those first days. They waited. For 5 minutes, nothing happened. Hyejin looked at her brother with concern. Then the ground began to shake. Boom, boom, boom. The Skorath emerged from the darkness of the cavern. Its massive form filled the entrance. Its 4 eyes scanned the group of newcomers. Its patterns pulsed red. Warning! Taeyang, Kwanho called out. He stepped forward, leaving the safety of the group. He pulled off his helmet, breathing the toxic air for a moment. A gesture of trust. The Skorath's patterns flickered. Red to orange, orange to yellow. Then suddenly, brilliant blue, the creature charged forward. The others scrambled back in fear. But Kwanho stood still, smiling. Taeyang stopped right in front of him and lowered its massive head. It made the happy chirping sound that Kwanho remembered. Its patterns danced with joy. Kwanho pressed his forehead against Taeyang's scales. I told you I would come back. The Skorath's rumble was deep and content. It had waited. And its friend had kept his promise. Slowly, carefully, Kwanho introduced the others. He explained in words and gestures that these were friends, helpers, family. Taeyang studied each person carefully. When it reached Hyejin, it paused. The creature looked at her, then at Kwanho, then back at her. It made a questioning sound. My sister, Kwanho explained. She is my family. Taeyang's pattern shifted to soft green. Curiosity. It lowered its head to Hyejin's level, examining her closely. Hyejin stood frozen, her scientific mind at war with her instinct to flee. The creature's breath was hot even through her suit. Its eyes were like mirrors reflecting her frightened face. Hello, she managed to say. Her voice squeaked. Taeyang made a gentle sound. Then it carefully bumped her shoulder with its snout. The same gesture it had given Kwanho that first time. Acceptance. Hyejin started crying. It is beautiful, she whispered. Brother, it is so beautiful. Over the next 2 weeks, they established a routine. The team stayed in a small prefab shelter near the cavern entrance. Each day, they explored deeper into the tunnel system with Taeyang as their guide. They discovered wonders. Entire ecosystems living in the crystal caverns. Bioluminescent plants. Strange insects that fed on minerals. Underground lakes teeming with primitive fish. Kairos Prime was not just a death world. It was a hidden paradise. Hyejin documented everything. Her excitement was infectious. This is incredible, she said during one exploration. These species exist nowhere else in the galaxy. Taeyang has been protecting an entire biome. Dr. J studied Taeyang with professional fascination. The healing rate is extraordinary. The wound you treated is completely healed, not even a scar. Kwanho smiled. I told you. Taeyang is special. During their second week, something unexpected happened. Another Skorath appeared. This one was smaller, perhaps 20 feet tall. Its patterns were lighter, more silver than black. It approached cautiously, staying at the edge of the crystal chamber. Taeyang made a series of sounds. Complex patterns of light pulsed across its body. The smaller Skorath responded with its own light display. They are communicating, Hyejin breathed. This is actual language. A complete language. The smaller Skorath approached Kwanho. It was cautious but curious. Taeyang made encouraging sounds. Kwanho extended his hand slowly. Hello, friend. The smaller Skorath sniffed his hand. Then it mimicked Taeyang's gesture, bumping Kwanho's shoulder gently. There are more of them, Dr. J realized. Taeyang was not alone. It was protecting its family. Over the following days, 3 more Skorath appeared, a family group. Taeyang was the largest and oldest. The others were younger, ranging from fully grown to juvenile. The team realized something profound. The Skorath had not been attacking expeditions out of mindless aggression. They had been protecting their home and family from armed invaders. We owe them an apology, Captain Yuna said. The galaxy owes them an apology. We came to their world with weapons and called them monsters. Quan Ho nodded. That is why we are here now. To make it right. News of the multiple Skorath spread quickly. The galaxy was fascinated. Research requests poured in. But Quan Ho was selective. Only those who respected the creatures in their world were allowed to visit. A young Vrexian scientist named Keth was one of the first approved visitors. He arrived nervous but determined. His people had tried hardest to kill the Skorath. He wanted to prove that Vrexians could change. Taeyang was wary of the Vrexian at first. Its patterns showed yellow, uncertain. But Quan Ho vouched for Keth, and slowly Taeyang accepted him. Keth spent a week learning about the Skorath. On his last day, he approached Quan Ho with tears in his eyes. My grandfather died here, he said, 20 years ago. He was on one of the hunting expeditions. I was taught that the Skorath was evil, that it killed without reason. Keth looked at Taeyang, who was playing with the younger Skorath nearby. The massive creature was gentle with the juveniles, patient and protective. I was taught lies, Keth finished. Thank you for showing the truth. Quan Ho clasped the Vrexian's shoulder. Tell your people. Tell them what you learned here. Keth returned to his world and did exactly that. He wrote articles, gave lectures, showed footage of the Skorath family living peacefully. Slowly, attitudes began to change. Other species followed. A Thoraxian warrior spent 3 months learning from the Skorath about tracking and hunting. A Krillian artist painted the creatures in ways that showed their beauty and intelligence. Humans came to learn about empathy and patience. Karos Prime became known for something new. Not as a death world, but as a place of transformation, where beings came to learn about respect and understanding. One evening, 6 months into the project, Quan Ho sat with Taeyang at the edge of a lava lake. The younger Skorath were playing in the distance, their patterns creating a light show. Everything has changed, Quan Ho said, because you trusted me, because you showed me that friendship is stronger than fear. Taeyang's patterns pulsed slow and warm. Content. A message came through on Quan Ho's communicator. Heejin's voice. Brother, come to the main lab, quickly. Quan Ho hurried back to the shelter. Inside, the team was gathered around a display showing deep scan results from the cavern system. What is it? He asked. Heejin's eyes were wide. We found structures. Deep underground. Artificial structures. The display showed what looked like buildings. Carved stone. Architectural designs. Ancient but unmistakable. The Skorath built these? Quan Ho asked. Not exactly, Dr. J said. He pulled up another image. The structures predate the current Skorath by thousands of years. But the architectural style matches their proportions, their scales. The implication was stunning. You are saying the Skorath descended from a civilization, Captain Yuna said slowly. A civilization that existed here long ago. A civilization that fell, Heejin added. Probably due to the volcanic changes on this planet. The Skorath we know are survivors. They adapted to survive. Quan Ho thought about Taeyang, about the intelligence in those eyes, the complex communication, the family bonds. It all made sense now. They are not animals, he said. They never were. They are people. Ancient people who lost everything but survived. That night, Quan Ho could not sleep. He walked back to the lava lake where Taeyang waited, as if the creature had known he would come. Your ancestors built cities, Quan Ho said. They had a civilization.